the Coca-Cola Company believe the health of our water sources is essential to the health of our communities, which is why we're helping to replenish the mighty Rio Grande, as well as over 30 watersheds across the country. We're also leading water projects in more than 100 communities. And for every drop we use, we're working to give one back, because our products rely on the same thing as we all do: clean water. And we care about it like our business depends on it.
Stories that start out, "I remember when," are cute when you're talking about buying a Coke for a quarter with your niece or nephew. But they're not so cute when you're talking about a certain fish that has not been caught for a very long time. I've been blessed to have spent most of my adult life enjoying the great outdoors. Unfortunately, I have also witnessed the current challenges our waterways face. Yamaha Right Waters will continue Yamaha's industry-leading focus on conservation, sustainability, and advocating for science-based policies that promote healthy fisheries. Right Waters will focus on clean water initiatives, fighting the spread of invasive species, habitat restoration, and supporting scientific research. All of these efforts have one goal in mind: leave our waterways better off than we found them, so future generations can enjoy these treasures for themselves. When it comes to our environment, let's put an end to "I remember when."
At Schlumberger, our vision is to drive high performance sustainably. We do this through technology aimed at unlocking access to energy for the benefit of all. Schlumberger's approach to sustainability is rooted in a long-standing culture of social and environmental stewardship. Guided by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we concentrate on the areas where we can have the greatest impact. We then translate our corporate goals into actions most relevant to our local communities. Engaging with communities and customers through this lens enables us to promote meaningful social and environmental sustainability across our operations.
Shell Oil Company works to protect, preserve, and restore the environment where we live, work, and play, alongside leading organizations across the U.S. In the last 2 decades, together with these experts, we have helped restore and protect more than 13 million acres of wetlands, conserve more than 1.8 million acres of land, install nature-based solutions like artificial reefs to support local economies, promote marine wildlife and habitat resilience, mitigate flooding, and slow coastal erosion.
Good evening. I'm Chris Morris, Brown-Forman's Master Distiller, and Brown-Forman is so pleased to partner with the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership for this year's event. I know TRCP is celebrating the many great conservation wins of the year, and you're going to be doing it with a couple of cocktails in hand. So let's get things started off with making a mint julep. Allegedly, Theodore Roosevelt loved mint juleps. It's a classic drink. We're going to start with a julep cup, and to it, we're going to add a simple syrup. And I've made an ounce of simple syrup out of brown sugar and water. It's that simple. We're going to put in some mint leaves. And I don't know how much mint you like. I'm not really crazy about a lot of mint. So I'm just going to sort of twist the mint leaves. Boy, you can already smell that aroma. Drop them in the bottom of the glass. And then I'm going to add some crushed ice. Many people don't realize that crushed ice is the key to the enjoyment of mint julep because it really makes the drink long, and last an hour between races at Churchill Downs if you're a horse fan. Now, we've got our mint, our simple syrup, our crushed ice, and now we're going to add some bourbon, and of course, Kentucky's finest bourbon, Woodford Reserve, a couple of ounces of Woodford Reserve. We're going to finish topping off with crushed ice. Fill that cup up. There we go. And then we're going to put a garnish of mint on the top. So every sip of this mint julep will have that wonderful bouquet of mint. So wasn't that simple? You can see that this drink has been around for well over 100 years. And there we have a mint julep. Now, another drink that dates back from Teddy Roosevelt's era is the old-fashioned cocktail. And it was called the old-fashioned way back then. And again, it's very simple. And that's the secret to making a great drink. Simplicity gives you great flavor. So again, we're going to start with a simple syrup. And now I have 2 ounces of brown sugar dissolved in water. We're going to add 2 ounces of Woodford Reserve. We'll measure this out just for appearance's sake. 2 ounces of Woodford Reserve. It's a classic old bourbon cocktail, of course. Then we're going to add some bitters. And I've got some aromatic bitters from Woodford Reserve. A couple of drops. That's very nice. And then a twist or 2 of orange peel. Looks pretty, but it also releases some of the orange characteristics of the bourbon. And then we're going to add ice. And the ice is not the crushed ice of the mint julep, it's cubed ice. Again, a very simple, easy to enjoy cocktail. And that's all there is to it. 2 easy to make cocktails, full of flavor, both historic, both dating back to Teddy Roosevelt's time, or maybe even a little before. So now that you have a couple cocktails in hand, I hope that's going to help you run the bids up tonight because, of course, we're raising money for this great program. Have fun tonight and good luck. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TRCP 2020. Please enjoy our virtual presentation.
Hi, I'm Whit Fosberg. I'm the president and CEO of the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Department, coming to you from Washington, D.C. Steve, just great to have you with us. I wish you could be out here in person with us in Washington, D.C. You've been to this event a few times. You've won our Conservation Achievement Award in the past, but it's a little bit different year this year, having to deal with the COVID situation.
We're still dealing with COVID after all this time. We got people cleaning up after hurricanes. We got people dealing with wildfires. So a lot going on, but I think it's still safe for us to proceed here and engage in and celebrate the great work that TRCP does while acknowledging that, everyone doesn't have the luxury to have a cocktail tonight and join in.
Yeah, I mean, great points. And we're really thinking about all the folks out there on the front lines dealing with fires and hurricanes and COVID and everything else. Now, obviously, there is a silver lining to doing this event remotely, and that is that a lot of folks out there across the country can join. When we do it in D.C., we're jammed 500 people into the Mellon Auditorium. It's a great time. But because of COVID and doing this remotely, we have well over 1,000 people registered for the event tonight, literally from every corner of this country. And ultimately, it's all of you out there, the hunters, the anglers, the conservationists that make conservation happen in this country. We help you here in D.C., but it's really fun to have you all with us tonight, and I think it's going to be a great night.
But I feel like you should jump in and tell people how the event got started and why you do it.
So TRCP was created in 2002 by a fellow named Jim Range, who was a larger-in-life figure in D.C., worked was the chief counsel for Howard Baker when Baker was majority leader of the Senate in the 1980s. And Jim had been a lifelong sportsman, and he really thought correctly that it was the hunters and anglers, the conservationists of this country that had created the modern conservation system, from the Public Lands Network in Roosevelt's time to the early environmental laws, to funding for conservation, to thinking about the work today that groups like Pheasants Forever, or Trout Unlimited, or Turkey Federation do, restoring habitats and bringing species back. And he was right. He also felt that this was a sensible center. It was a community that was more interested in achieving results on the ground than it was in scoring political points. And he thought that we were getting more and more partisan in Washington, and he wanted to do something to celebrate that middle that the conservation community had always had. So 12 years ago, we started the Capitol Conservation Awards dinner to recognize Republicans, Democrats, private sector individuals, to have a party that brings everybody together from all sides to think about conservation and the fact that it should never be partisan, but it ought to be something that really brings us together as a community. And when we do that, I mean, like tonight, and I think that we can really see, even in this sort of crazy times, with some of the achievements we've had over the last couple of years, from the Public Lands Bill, the Great American Outdoors Act, Modern Fish Act, things like that. I mean, this is the section where Congress and government still works. And we celebrate that. Now, obviously, we want to have a good time, and we want to raise some money, because it costs some money to do this stuff, and this is our one big fundraiser we do every year. And we really thank our folks that are bidding on auction items right now, that have entered the sweepstakes to go hunting with you, Steve, and that have sponsored this event financially. And I want to call out a few of those right now: Coca-Cola, National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, Shell, Schlumberger, Walton Family Foundation, Yamaha. Those are our diamond sponsors, and you guys are amazing, and we could not be doing the work we do without you.
Yeah, those are great companies, and we really appreciate the support you've given. And I think TRCP deserves it. I mean, if you look at TRCP's slogan, which really speaks to me, the kind of the rallying cry is guaranteeing Americans quality, and that's a key word there. Guaranteeing Americans quality places to hunt and fish. Like, I hear that, I'm sold. We're gonna take a look at a video that tells a little bit more about what TRCP is all about, and watch this, because this is why we're here.
Silence is stealth. Focus. The quiet lures us deeper into the outdoors. But when it comes to some things, we can't afford to be silent. That's why the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership exists, to unite like-minded organizations and amplify tens of thousands of individual voices from across the hunting and fishing community. Together, we create a crescendo of support for the conservation solutions that will help guarantee all Americans quality places to hunt and fish. We bring the authentic voice of hunters and anglers to our national decision makers, speaking up for the places where quiet moments help to reveal the possibilities in the natural world around us. And with your support, we'll take action to safeguard the bedrock conservation laws, programs, and funding sources that make our outdoor lives possible. From the Badlands to the Bayou, from iconic public lands to the farms and ranches of the heartland, and from the sagebrush steppe to the Capitol steps. We know that the future of hunting and fishing isn't about these activities alone. It's about family around the dinner table, working toward your personal best, and a centuries-old tradition made new. It's about jobs, bonds, blisters, bragging rights, and our way of life. And that's worth making noise about. Together, we can wake the woods. Join us.
It's beautiful. It's such a great, inspiring video. I love it. I keep wanting to track down whoever came up with the sagebrush step to capital step line, because it's a Nobel-worthy line. And I think that TRCP is, it holds up to that video. It's every bit as inspiring as that video. I think there's a lot of places that, a lot of organizations might make a lot of noise, but TRCP gets a lot of action done. They're they're involved in the conversations where we need to be represented. They run an even line and demand the respect and get the respect of people who are in the decision-making positions. And they represent us, hunters and anglers, in the big conversations that we're having about conservation in this country. So again, it's a great cause to support. It's not by accident that I sit on the board here. It's an organization I believe in wholeheartedly, and I would do anything in my power to support them.
Yeah, Steve, thanks very much. For the kind words and the support. I get goosebumps every time I see that fish jump toward the end. Thanks to everybody who's joined us tonight, and I urge you to stay on. We have a special prize for 10 folks who stay tuned in the whole time. You'll be getting a bottle of Woodford Reserve. You probably saw the master distiller teach you how to make a couple of drinks if you tuned in a little bit early. But you'll get an email tomorrow about if you won that. So stay tuned, and thank you very much. But next, let's hear from a few folks. We have a couple of special guests. Let's hear from them next.
Hello to the good folks at the Capital Conservation Awards. Darrell Smith here, founder and owner-operator, I guess, host of the Gundog Notebook podcast, also founder of the Minority Outdoor Alliance, and I want to thank Whit Fosberg and Stephen Ranella for the opportunity to speak briefly and share my gratitude for the work being done in the name of conservation. Our outdoor heritage should unite folks from all different walks of life, racially, socioeconomically, all across the plain, no matter what political party you choose to affiliate with. We as Americans should be welcoming folks across all walks of life. We should represent the perfect bipartisan approach to protecting and conserving our lands. So I just wanted to say that and say a special congratulations to Congressman Garrett Graves of Louisiana and Mark Veazey out in Texas for the work that you guys have been doing. As always, I want to thank and congratulate the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership for impactful work that they have been doing, and I look forward to many more years to come.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Pete Alonso here, first baseman for the New York Mets. I just want to thank every single one of you guys for coming on and joining the Zoom call. It really means a lot that all you guys were ready to support the TRCP and attend the dinner, but I know that this isn't necessarily ideal. I know you guys were looking forward to a really fun night and a really fun dinner, but because of everything, I know that this is, we got to do this, but I just want to say thank you guys for attending. It really means a lot, and I really hope that you guys enjoy your time on here. And I just want to say thank you so much for your constant and unwavering support of the TRCP. And this organization does some absolutely incredible things for conservation of not just for species, but also for land management and creating opportunities hunting and fishing for everybody. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for your contributions. It really, really means so much. And as always, let's go Mets, and also let's go TRCP.
Hello, I'm Bo Jackson. You may know me as a broke-down baseball/football player. And today, I'm just trying to be a successful businessman. You know, my passion all my life was to be outside hunting and fishing. And I've been doing that since I was a kid in Alabama. And today, that's a major part of my life. You know, it's up to us to make sure that our kids and grandkids have the same opportunities that we have. Places to hunt, fish, clean water, lots of fishing game. Don't assume someone else is going to carry that torch for us. Get up, light that torch, and carry it yourself. And share that torch with anybody you can. Join me in supporting the TRCP. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, so big thanks to Darrell. We've never hung out. I would love to hang out with you, and hope that happens soon. I've had the good fortune of doing a hunt. We have an upcoming episode where we take Pete Alonso on his first mule deer hunt, And leading up to it, friends of mine would send me all these articles about how cool Pete was that are coming out in various news outlets. And I can tell you that Pete's cooler than all the articles say that Pete is. Just a like humble, modest, passionate, fun guy to hang out with. I also had the good fortune not too long ago to do a turkey hunt with Bo Jackson. And the highlight of that trip for me is that after we hunted, I cooked Bo. You know, Bo's likes to cook. He's a wild game cook. He knows food well. I cooked them a turkey schnitzel. And when I asked him if he wanted another one, instead of just saying yes, he would, he proceeded to tell me how he would like it this time and instructed me on how I could up my game and make a better turkey schnitzel for him. So, ton of fun. Again, I'm Steve Ranella. I'm the host of Meat Eater. I'm a proud TRCP board member. And you're with us tonight for the virtual Capital Conservation Awards dinner. And we can't be together in person, or we can be together like this. And I want to tell you, the TRCP does a great job of bringing people together. They speak to issues that people can come together in a passionate way. They do not seek out divisions. They look for places where we can see eye to eye and work together and move the needle in favor of quality wildlife habitat and abundant wildlife populations. So for that, they are bipartisan in nature. They have a vast network of partnerships. And that is why this is the group that I lend my support to, because I feel like my money is getting action and is getting my voice heard in DC where it matters and heard around the country where it matters.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And I tell you, if we have to do this again virtually, we're going to get one of Darrell's dogs to come up here and co-host with us. Those guys are awesome. Speaking of awesome, I want to highlight some of the companies we work with, and let's hear what a few of them have to say.
Hey, I'm Annie Nyborg with Peak Design.
Hello, I'm Ben Special from Yamaha.
I'm Lise Radiona, Director of Sustainability at Schlumberger.
Hi, my name is Bill Neff. I'm the Vice President of Consumer Marketing at Yeti.
I'm Moira McDonald. I am the Director of the Environment Program at the Walton Family Foundation.
Hi, I'm Ford Van Fossen, Conservation Manager at First Light.
And at Peak Design, we feel that there is nothing better for our mental and physical health than spending time in the great outdoors. And we feel that everyone across the nation should have the opportunity to spend time outdoors today and for many generations to come.
Everyone at Yamaha is committed to conservation, not just because it supports our business, but because we are sportsmen and women who actually love the outdoors. Our natural resources and the North American model for conservation are what makes this country so great. We believe that it is up to all of us to protect our natural resources for the future generations.
Schlumberger, two of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that we've decided to focus on are 14 and 15, life underwater and life on land. And we look for ways to contribute along those lines in the communities where we live and work. So we're really grateful for our relationship with the Teddy Roosevelt Conservation Partnership over the last several years, and proud to support TRCP's commitment to protect biodiversity by safeguarding critical habitats.
Everything we make at Yeti is built for the wild. It's built for people to go out and recreate in wild places. And the work that TRCP does ensures that people have places to use our product and go recreate in the places that they want.
And on behalf of our staff and our board, I am happy to virtually be with you all tonight and to help share the message that important conservation issues like protecting water and reducing climate change are not Democratic issues or Republican issues, they're American issues. And at Walton, we believe that clean, abundant water is key for thriving nature, for strong communities, and for the healthy outdoor spaces and recreation that we all enjoy so much.
Great outdoors is key both to our passions and to our business model. And for that reason, we support TRCP because they are the sportsman's voice for conservation in the hallowed halls of Congress and in Washington, D.C.
So that is why we're proud supporters of the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership.
Yamaha is proud to support TRCP and make sure this happens. Thank you.
Look forward to connecting with everyone back in person again in the future and enjoying the great outdoors together.
On behalf of everyone at Yeti, thank you so much for all the work you do, and look forward to long partnership.
Hi, I'm Jenny Henry, the Chief Development Officer at the TRCP. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. We're really happy that you're here. And I want to make sure you all know that we have an awesome online auction going on right now. You can click the link that should be popping up under this video to check out the items we have and place some bids. We have more than 70 packages of some great hunting, fishing, and outdoors gear and trips. So check it out. We also will have a countdown clock popping up in the corner of the screen. The auction will close at 8:45 p.m. Eastern. So definitely keep your eye on those bids. Thanks again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you, Jenny. For those who joined late, I'm Whit Fosberg. I'm the president and CEO at TRCP, and thank you for being with us tonight. This is a night where we honor great champions of conservation, Republicans, Democrats, members of the private sector. And before we get to this year's honorees, let's take a look at some of our past champions.
Welcome to the 2020 Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership Awards event.
I'd like to welcome everyone to this year's virtual Teddy Roosevelt Conservation Partnership Annual Capital Conservation Award.
Hey everybody, this is Johnny Morris with Bass Pro Shops in good old Springfield, Missouri, USA.
I'm Liz Storer, President and CEO of the George B. Storer Foundation here in Jackson, Wyoming. I was honored to receive the Conservation Leadership Award from TRCP at last year's Capital Conservation Awards dinner.
Welcome everyone to the Teddy Roosevelt Conservation Partnership's annual Capital Conservation Awards event.
Thanks, Whit, for all your hard work on helping us pass the Great American Outdoors Act. Your work and the work of the TRCP made it possible. Without that, it wouldn't have been done.
The 2018 Farm Bill, which I co-authored with my partner, Senator Roberts, continues historic investments in land and water and wildlife conservation. And last month, the Senate passed the Great American Outdoors Act, which is now becoming law.
Who would have imagined that we would be putting forward legislation to not only rebuild our public land infrastructure at the BLM and at our national wildlife refuges and our national forests, but also fully funding the Land and Water Conservation Act and funding the sort of access that TRCP has been critical in highlighting the need for.
Nothing in conservation really happens that's notable without people reaching out to each other. And Whit Fosberg and all the great folks at Teddy Roosevelt Conservation Partnership are great uniters in bringing everyone together to really make great things happen.
Hunting and fishing and other outdoor recreation are part of our way of life in Michigan. It's really who we are. And I'm so honored to work with you to protect our beautiful natural resources for generations to come.
This is why we do it, for these great landscapes we have both in Idaho and across the country.
Teddy Roosevelt Conservation Partnership is looking out for our landscapes, our habitat, our public lands, and the wildlife that lives there. That is something worth getting behind. And we need all of you to keep supporting them.
And I want to extend my congratulations to this year's honorees, Bill Michaelcheck, Congressman Garrett Graves, and Congressman Mark Veazey. Many thanks for all you've done to advance conservation across our country.
And I want to thank the partnership for the great work that you do on issues that are important to outdoor enthusiasts across the country. For all those that enjoy the outdoors and hunting and fishing, your efforts go a long way to make sure that we can continue to enjoy what is so special to our nation and to our communities and to our states and our country.
And thanks to TRCP for the important work you do to protect our wild places and ensure that American families have great places to hunt and fish. I'm proud to be your partner.
TRCP is worthy of your support. Thank you for being a part of this event because they're a group that is getting it done. They bring Republicans and Democrats together. They really inspire hunters and fishermen and outdoor recreationists to do the good work that benefits all of us. And that is completely evident from the kind of success we've seen this year with the Great American Outdoors Act.
It's a great honor for all of us here in our company and all the sportsmen we serve to be able to salute and say thank you to this year's Jim range award recipients. It's a great honor, and so just special thanks and congratulations to Congressman Vesey, to Congressman Graves, and to you, Bill Michalczyk. Just a great honor. We're very proud.
With your leadership and TRCP's critical efforts to fight for our wildlands and water, our fish and wildlife, we can all believe in a bright future for the sportsmen and women of tomorrow.
Thanks again for the great work that you're doing. I wish each of you God's blessings, and may God bless our great United States of America.
Congratulations, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and here's to next year, all of us being in the same room safely together.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Johnny Morris, Liz Storer, Martin Heinrich, Mike Simpson, Debbie Stabenow, and Rob Whitman. All great champions, and we miss seeing you all in person, but look forward to seeing you next year, if not before. As we mentioned, every year TRCP honors one Democrat and one Republican with the James D. Range Conservation Award, which really is the highest honor that we give to elected officials. This year, we are very fortunate to have two great champions with us, Congressman Garrett Graves of Louisiana and Mark Vesey of Texas. I am actually happy to have Garrett here in the office with me. He has represented Louisiana's 6th District, which includes Baton Rouge, Lake Pontchartrain's Western Shore, and the Terrebonne Parish since 2015. Congressman Graves serves on both the Committee on Natural Resources and the Committee on Transportation Infrastructure, where he champions critical conservation issues related to transportation, infrastructure, fisheries, and coastal restoration. Garrett worked as a Senate staffer, both on the Republican and Democratic side of the Environment Committee prior to joining Congress, and immediately before coming to Congress, led the Louisiana Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority under Governor Bobby Jindal. So it is not an exaggeration to say that he is one of the true experts in Congress when it comes to the environment, restoration, clean water, infrastructure, all of that. Climate is another one. Garrett is co-chair of the House Select Committee on Climate and is a breath of fresh air in terms of creative ideas and how we deal with the climate crisis facing us. Congressman Mark Vesey has represented Texas's 15th District, spanning the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex since 2013. It serves on the Energy and Commerce Committee, the Small Business Committee. He is the co-chair of the Congressional Sportsmen's Caucus and an avid sportsman himself. It is worth noting that a lot of members of Congress like to call themselves sportsmen, wrap themselves in camo, especially around election time. But if you go on to Mark's website, you don't see a lot of that. You see his work for small businesses, dealing with the pandemic, trying to help the less fortunate in that district. You have to dig pretty far to see about his strong efforts on behalf of the Great American Outdoors Act. You have to dig even further to see that he was the one that went to the floor of the House of Representatives last year and enacted an amendment to the Agricultural Appropriations Bill to get $15 million to go out to the states for fish and wildlife to deal with surveillance and testing for chronic wasting disease. And a true champion of the sportsman and somebody who practices it, but maybe doesn't talk about it as much as some others. And it's great to have him here. Now, I'm told that Mark, in addition to loving the piney woods in Texas, occasionally escapes to South Dakota to hunt some pheasant, whereas Garrett is apt to be seen around Grand Isle, chasing red snapper with his kids. So with that, I want to welcome both of you to the dinner tonight, and thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. All right. Steve, why don't you take point on asking some questions here? Let's make sure we can hear Mark Vesey. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We got them? Yeah, also at the end of this, we're going to open it up for some Q&A, so people watching at home, we'll walk them through how to get a question in the
just
chat
put
box.
if you have a question you'd like to ask any of us, but particularly the congressman, just write something in the chat section of the website, and we will answer as many questions as we can. So that should be pretty self-explanatory, particularly for folks that are more tech savvy than me, perhaps.
I'll start out and just throw one out, and either you gentlemen feel free to grab it. But what is it about conservation issues that make them so active in a year like 2020 that's otherwise, for many of us might look to be like a political mess? Like what keeps conservation moving in a time like this?
I think we're still having trouble with Mark's audio. So Garrett, you want to take that one first
sure,
while we try to get Mark unmuted?
Well, first of all, Whit, I think, and Steve, great to join you tonight. I think when you look at 2020, probably all of us would like to reset this year or skip right to 2021. But, this has actually provided an opportunity for a lot of people to kind of press the pause button, to slow down a little bit. I know that a lot of us that have been under this quarantine situation and then went on to drink quarantinis and do everything else, we were like, look, I've had enough. I got to get out of the house. A lot of people, especially in Louisiana, we turn to the outdoors where you can socially distance, where you can enjoy your time in the outdoors. And I think that between the slowing down and actually spending more time in the outdoors, it made us realize some of the issues that are in front of us. And of course, with a relationship Mark and I have and so many others, realizing that while we've been able to figure out how to make coronavirus partisan, we've made the Postal Service partisan. As you all have said, there is nothing partisan about the great outdoors that America has in our vast natural resources. We do need to protect them for generations to come, and it is something that brings us together.
Yeah, that's the thing I've noticed too in a lot of conversations I've had with people about that we're seeing this not so subtle uptick in numbers with participation in fishing, participation in hunting, people just getting outside. And I've always felt that just simply exposure to the outdoors, exposure to nature leads to action on part of people. So throw out a question.
Let's see if we have Mark back first. Mark, can we hear you yet?
First, let me just say, with COVID-19 going on, I was able to get out and do some dove hunting on opening day in Texas on September the 1st. And in our zone, the northern zone where I went, the birds were really flying. It was absolutely great. But I have to tell you that I am getting a little bit sad when I saw your Pheasants Forever sign behind your desk there. I saw that when you were talking, and I have some Pheasants Forever stuff, and I was just like, oh man, I was going to go back this year. And because of COVID, don't know if I'll make it or not. But when I saw that, it sent something through me. So, man, I hope that we're able to really get back out there and start enjoying again very, very soon here. But I think that when you look at these conservation issues that we're going through right now, that I think regardless of whatever party you're in, and it's already been mentioned earlier tonight that these are things that all bind us together. All of us want clean outdoors. We all want clean air, clean water to be able to hunt and fish in, to be able to enjoy with our families. And I think that from a young age that for even people that are casual outdoorsmen and outdoorswomen, that you learn about respect for the outdoors at a very early age. I know when we could never afford a boat, and I grew up bank fishing. My grandmother came from East Texas down by Marshall, and she brought all her cane poles up with her. And one of the things that we were always taught when we go out there was to make sure that we clean up behind ourselves before we left, because we were protecting God's creation. And so I think that's why we're able to get these bills passed, is because conservation and the restoration, the protection, and really making sure that the great outdoors last for generations to come is something that I think is easy for everybody to be able to get behind if there's nothing else that we can accomplish with Congress.
All right, Congressman Graves, I want to throw a question your way. You're the co-chair of the Select Committee on Climate. Now, with the West on fire, Gulf states being slammed by, what seems like an unprecedented series of hurricanes, what's your thought about meaningful action on climate? Is this a place where we have some responsibility?
Steve, I don't think that it's just responsibility. I think that we have an obligation. You've heard both Congressman Vesey, myself, Whit, all of us have talked about the importance of preserving the outdoors for generations to come. And this climate issue is something that when you talk about it, you often have Republicans and Democrats quickly retreating to their corners. But whenever you take this issue and you begin slicing it up in components, I think that we can make a tremendous amount of progress on a bipartisan basis. One of the things we've done over the last 2 years is made unprecedented investment in the resilience of our communities. The United States is currently leading the world in reducing emissions. Rather than going out there and telling folks we have to make these abrupt shifts in our strategies, in our economy and energy portfolio, how do we build upon the successes and learn from the failures that we've had in regard to emissions reduction and energy strategies? So I am really excited about the opportunities that we have in front of us to break this issue up in smaller pieces, to truly work together on a bipartisan basis, and to make progress in this. And I think that we can make meaningful progress that truly will help to allow the United States to continue to be the global leader in reducing emissions and have a bright climate future for future generations.
Yeah, no, I'm going to move on to a question about CWD. And I know this is a place where both you guys have been champions. A lot of us are wondering when the rest of Congress is going to get involved in and serious about addressing chronic wasting disease. A lot of us are trying to follow, where did COVID come from? How did COVID come about? There's a lot of compelling evidence that says it comes from wild animals, bats, right? And we've seen what that's done when a disease like this jumps the barrier to humans. CWD is even scarier if it jumps the species barrier. I don't know if Congressman Veazey, if you'd like to start out on that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's important that we try to address CWD as much as we possibly can. And in the American Conservation and Enhancement Act, there's some more language in there that will put funds available to be able to study CWD. And so I think it's critically important. And, that's why I've been working on this, and I've co-sponsored several pieces of legislation to deal with CWD. And I also think that we have to, I know when I was in the Texas legislature too, while we want to enjoy the outdoors responsibly, some of the activities that have contributed to that, I do think that we have to take a very close look at them to make sure that, while we're out trying to seek the big trophy and the rack with the many points, that we need to make sure that we aren't contributing to that as well, and that we're taking all appropriate steps and measures and enjoying the outdoors responsibly.
Yeah, in fact, we have one of your constituents, perhaps, Brad Pascal from Texas, has written in with a question and asks, what's the plan moving forward on CWD? And, Garrett, Mark, Steve Vernella, you guys want to tackle that?
First, as you know, Congressman Ralph Abraham from Louisiana has been one of the leaders working with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service on this, looking at trying to better understand the concerns and the strategy moving forward. You know that Senator Barrasso from Wyoming has the ACE legislation that working on to help put strategies or solutions in place. Look, bottom line, Steve, you nailed it. I mean, the fact that we are seeing what happens when you have these diseases spread from wildlife into human population, and looking at the threat that CWD poses, it's just extraordinary. I can't say this enough. I can't wait for 2020 to end. I don't want anybody to ever have to go through anything like this again. And we've got to learn how to lean forward, be more proactive, prevent the species jump, and take this as seriously as the threat that it poses, not just to wildlife, but it poses to humans as well.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a huge human issue. I think for a long time we talked about CWD, like what if, it's going to come, what will happen? It's now happened. There are people who are changing plans about where they might go hunting, and communities that once upon a time might have relied on an influx of hunters coming in. People are questioning their decision about to go to an area that might be a CWD area, focusing on other places. There are people who look at, venison in their freezer, venison on their plate, something they used to cherish, be proud of. Now they're a little suspicious of it. And it's not going to work. It's going to be devastating to hunting. It's going to be devastating to communities that rely on that at a certain time of year when that's a big influx of business. It's devastating to an industry. We've got to get on top of it and take it serious and stop peddling and trafficking in conspiracy theories.
Mark, you have any more thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we need to, all of those things I think have been pointed out. I mean, invited that sort of species, into the human population is obviously, we've seen what sort of impact that can have. And we want to try to do everything we can to prevent that. I think that we need to take CWD very seriously. And I think that the point that was made just a few seconds ago about how people are going to stop wanting to enjoy the great outdoors and avoid certain areas. I mean, that's the last thing that we need. I mean, ecologically, that could really just set everything back. I mean, we don't have enough hunters as there is. And if you were to have these areas that have where people have enjoyed hunting for a long time, not only could that be economically disruptive to those communities, but also from an ecological standpoint, for the animals and the people that live around where the hunting is taking place. It could be very disruptive in their lives in a lot of different ways, and even affect their safety. And so, yeah, we need to be serious about this and really put the resources needed to do something about it.
Yeah, you touched on hunter numbers, and a quick question about recruitment, and I can throw this to whoever wants to pick it up. How do you think we can outreach to a younger and more diverse audience? And I'm just talking about people who are going to participate in hunting and fishing, but really, like I said earlier, where that leads is people that are going to participate in conservation. Like, what are some steps? You might talk about some barriers that you see to entry. What are some things we could do to grow numbers? And how can a group like TRCP help address this issue?
Yeah, let me just tell you my own personal story with like hunting and fishing. I grew up fishing and really didn't start hunting until I was in my 30s. And I don't know exactly what happened, but like when I grew up in Fort Worth, all of the kinfolks that were still down in East Texas, they still ate venison. Like my grandmother would even, if someone would bring her some venison up from Marshall, and she would prepare it for us in Fort Worth. But we never went down there and went hunting at all. And most people that had sort of left their roots in East Texas in the black community and moved to Dallas and Fort Worth really left hunting behind. Many still did fishing, a lot of bank fishing, especially in the black community, but had kind of really left hunting behind. And I think that with social media particularly, that there's a lot of opportunity out there to reach a new group of people by showing, hey, I'm a hunter. I know that there are several groups that I belong to on social media that are dedicated to black hunters, for instance. There's a young man that I've talked to that's not even in my state. He's in Georgia. And this kid was like a standout baseball player. And he has an organization that promotes duck hunting. And he actually mixes it up with rap music, and he's a very good shot. And I said, you know what? We need this kid out here. This guy's like 26 years old. We need this guy out here promoting hunting and giving a forum for diverse audiences to speak with him about duck hunting. And that's how we're going to grow the fun and the sport of hunting, whether it's ducks or whether it is other waterfowl or deer or fishing or whatever it may happen to be, is by really, I think, using the social media and promoting some of these voices that people really didn't know existed out there in the hunting world.
Got it.
Garrett, you got kids?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So I Steve, I grew up like Mark did, doing the cane poles on the bank of different ponds around South Louisiana, and that was largely my exposure to the outdoors. And look, you go talk to young people today, and there's a lot of intimidation. Wait a minute, you want me to do what? You want me to take a gun that I've never held before? You want me to shoot something that's flying through the air or running across the land? You want me to go out in the wilderness on a hiking trail or climbing? Aren't there lions, tigers, and bears out there? So I think there's a lot of intimidation. I used to be a wilderness instructor, and you also have the cost, I think, barrier in some cases where, several $1,000s in some cases to go on the trips that we used to lead. And so I think that one of the things is helping to educate people about the opportunities in their own communities. Number two is working with some of our schools. I know I've gone to dozens of schools and talked to them about outdoor opportunities and how to get involved, how to learn how to do it safely, how to do it properly. And I think that those types of partnerships where we can expose young people to the outdoors in their very community and just help start walking them slowly into these opportunities is the best way for us to do this. And there are very few young people that I have met that when you introduce it to them properly, when you introduce it to them safely, that don't fall in love on their own. And it's like that spark that starts the fire. Maybe that's not a good analogy right now, but it's really good for.
We'll excuse it.
Yeah, really good. I think opportunity just to introduce folks though, and of course it just takes off inside.
All right,
Yeah,
Steve.
I've led the dialogue with a couple questions there. I just want to open it up because for whatever I'm missing, do you guys want to hit off on your top one or two conservation priorities? And they could duplicate what we've already brought up, or they could throw something new into the mix. It's up to you.
Yeah, I would say obviously CWD has to be continuation and restoration. I mean, I know when Steve Scalise took me out on a trip in Representative Graves' state in Louisiana, and it was an oil and gas trip where we went out to offshore. But as part of the trip, we also went to a community, and I don't remember exactly in Louisiana where we were, so please forgive me for that. But the concern that people had about about the erosion that was happening there was so real. Like you could just almost physically see it, and it was terrible. It was bad, and they're worried about how this is going to affect their economy in many ways, in recreational tourism, in their way of life, and whether or not how much longer this land is going to be there, and what are the efforts that can be made. And I think that anything that we can do to really take this seriously and start trying to implement measures where we see we're having excessive fires, or where we see where there's lots of coastal erosion that's taking place, and really try to address those again, so we can be as less disruptive to communities and people's lives, and keep our country as environmentally safe as we possibly can. And it's going to be trying, because I don't think that any of the measures to deal with this are easy. I don't think that any of them have easy fixes or easy solutions, and they're certainly not going to be cheap, but we have to do what we can.
Yeah, and Mark certainly brought up some great issues. I think you might have been in Fouchon, Louisiana, down in the coast. But number one, Steve, you talked earlier about climate change, and it's a top priority of mine. Just to try and change the narrative on this issue. I don't think it has to be a partisan, divisive issue. If we can find ways through energy conservation and efficiency and just changing energy technologies in a way that reduces the cost to heat and cool our homes and businesses and to build widgets here in the United States, that's a win for everybody. It's not anything that should result in these partisan fights. And I really want to continue working on climate change and energy issues to find outcomes that end up advancing America's interest and not a political party's interest. And I think there's some great opportunities there. Secondly, and sliding right in because they're related, with sea rise comes the disappearance of the community that I represent. As Mark just said, we've lost about 2,000 square miles of our coast. That's like wiping Rhode Island off the map. And so really discussing the role that resiliency and wetlands restoration and ecological restoration plays from an economic perspective, and a great way to talk to conservatives about it is say, hey, look, I mean, Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, Maria, Michael, Florence, more recently Sally, and Hurricane Laura in my home state, we're going to spend hundreds of billions of dollars responding to these. Just think if we stepped forward and were proactive, the reduction in cost, the benefit in terms of resiliency of your communities and ecosystem and economy, and just really changing the paradigm or narrative on those. I think they're both really ripe conservation issues where we can make some real progress.
Great, guys. I appreciate the real thoughtful replies there. one last one for you from me, then we'll check in with Whit and see if he's got any listener ones. But hit me with your favorite, wild game dishes, wild game table fare.
Oh wow, that's a really tough one. I mean, if I'm just wanting something just to snack on, I love the venison summer sausage. Just to like cut some pieces of that and like just have some beer and have some venison summer sausage to go along with it is really awesome. The one thing that I have not been able to get quite right is my pheasant. Anytime I make them, I can never get them to not get dry. To be quite honest, I've tried to put them in the oven bags and all different things. And a friend of mine sent me a recipe. He said the next time you eat the pheasant, he says you need to brine them. He says that's how you keep them nice and moist and tender. And so I'm looking forward to trying that out next time.
Yeah, your friend is a smart man or smart woman.
Hey, Mark, Bono's pheasant too. I think you ought to chat with him about that. But Steve, so first of all, I would love the opportunity to actually share this one with you. You take a red snapper on the half shell where you leave the scales on. You do it on the grill. It's got to be fresh. It is a phenomenal fish, especially if you get it fresh like that. I would love the opportunity to cook that for you down in South Louisiana, show you our coast, take you fishing, and really expose you to the unique terrain and geography we have down there. It's incredible.
Yeah, you'll appreciate Louisiana is the one state that I haven't visited, and I count like spending the night there as visiting. It's the one state I haven't visited. The 2 trips when I was headed there, one time I was en route, were both thwarted from hurricanes. I need to plan a trip. I need to plan a not September trip to your great state. So, Whit, are you getting hit up with?
Yeah, but I think Steve, I think we're
Yeah.
actually running a little tight on time.
Okay.
But I want to really thank Mark, Garrett, and I hope the viewers tonight can understand pretty clearly why these guys are getting our James D. Range Conservation Award. You guys will both, can't give it to you in person right now, but once I can come back to your offices, we will bring it over and have a little signing ceremony as we give you some really nice frame photographs that have plaque on them and all the rest. But thank you guys very much.
Yep.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, Congressman. We're going to be linking up with our Conservation Achievement honoree. First, we're going to hear from some more of our great sponsors. Apologies to people that had questions. We'll figure out some way to get you guys some answers.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pettit, President and CEO of Leupold & Stevens.
Hi, I'm Glenn Hughes, President of the American Sport Fishing Association.
I'm Jason Vanderbrink, President of Federal Ammunition, CCI, and Spear Ammunition.
Hi, I'm Rafe Nilsson, Director of Marketing and Communications with Browning. I'm here with my son Cooper, and we're here on the vast public lands of the American West today, here shooting and scouting for our hunting trips this fall.
Here at REI, we believe a life outdoors is a life well lived. During these unique and challenging times, the outdoors continue to be an important solution for health and wellness, the economy, and equity.
LL Bean is proud to be a partner of the Teddy Roosevelt Conservation Partnership and its mission to preserve access to open spaces for hunting, fishing, and outdoor recreation. My great-grandfather, LL, founded our company with a love for the outdoors and the personal understanding that time spent in nature was good for the soul. Over a century later, we're honored to continue his legacy of selling quality products that help people to experience the restorative power of being outside.
Washington, D.C. behind me, I think about all the partnerships we have, working together, leveraging our strengths, and pooling our assets to support conservation and provide our nation's anglers and hunters a great outdoor experience. It's in the name, partnership.
Lands like this that make the TRCP so valuable to Browning provides opportunities for me and for the next generation coming up. And we're so proud to be a part of the TRCP, and we're thankful for all the work they do, and we're grateful for Teddy Roosevelt and his great example.
Standing here in front of our factory in Beaverton, Oregon, where we make rifle scopes 7 days a week. We are so incredibly proud to be partners with TRCP. Whit, team, thank you for all you do. We want to continue to support what you do, and you know that as an optics company, nobody supports conservation like Leupold & Stevens. Thank you for giving us access and for fighting for our access to public lands.
On behalf of LL Bean's 5,000 employees, we extend our gratitude and hearty congratulations to this year's Capital Conservation Awards recipients.
We're proud to partner with TRCP to help ensure all Americans have quality places to hunt, fish, and recreate.
TRCP, thank you so much for your efforts, and we look forward to continue to supporting all that you do.
I appreciate the TRCP and all of their efforts to help keep America fishing.
It is our duty and responsibility to conserve the outdoors for our future generations so they can enjoy it much like we do today. We wish we were live tonight in this great event, but unfortunately we can't due to the COVID circumstances. But what an honor to be a member of such a great organization and such a tremendous benefit for future generations. Thanks again for all you do, and we look forward in future years to get together and support conservation with you.
Well, thank you to all of our great sponsors, and a big shout out to the team at Loophole, which are apparently having a watch party out there, which is great. I mentioned that we do 3 awards, 2 from a congressman, Democrat, Republican, 1 from a private sector individual who's made a real difference for contribution. And this year, with our Conservation Achievement Award, we're recognizing Bill Michalchek from New York. Bill is an avid fisherman, financial leader, generous philanthropist who took a break from making people a lot of money a little while ago to create a group in Midtown Manhattan that became the Founding Fish Alliance, and then partnered with TRCP on our Menhaden campaign, and we've had tremendous wins on that over the past year. But it's one of these stories about how somebody from a totally different world came into an area like conservation and fisheries management and made a huge difference. So, Bill Michalchek, do we have you out there?
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Nice to be here. I'm enjoying the show.
Thanks a lot for joining, Bill. Let me hit with a question. First off, again, thanks for being here, and thanks for your leadership in protecting forage fish like menhaden. But can you describe for everybody how you got involved in fisheries conservation in the first place?
Well, I'm an avid fisherman, so I really enjoy it. It's my favorite hobby, so I do a lot of fishing. And I was out with some friends fishing a few years ago, and we decided to start having a little lunch meeting in the off season in New York City, and invite a conservation leader to talk to us at lunch to find out more about conservation in the whole marine environment, which we knew very little about. And we've grown. What we discovered is that there were half a dozen of us involved, and we discovered there were literally hundreds of people in the New York area, all the way from Boston to Washington, who wanted to come to we have lunches a few times a year at the Troon restaurant in New York, and we would, and it was sold out. First of all, we don't charge, so we sold out for free, and we had some wonderful people like the TRCP come and tell us what they're doing and what they know, and it's been a wonderful thing. And we decided to showcase conservation issues, and that's how we got to the whole Menhaden that I can talk about.
Yeah, please, because I'd like you to explain why the focus, why such a specific focus on menhaden.
Well, we some of us read a book by Bruce Franklin called The Most Important Fish in the Sea, and we invited him to come to our lunch and spoke to us. He's a wonderful fellow, and we heard for the first time from most of us that what a menhaden is has different names up and down the coast. It's a little bait fish that is the major food source for striped bass, many other things, including whales and ospreys and you name it, all the way down to tarpon. They go all the way around to the Gulf Coast where the redfish, tarpon, and almost every predator fish really has menhaden as one of their primary diets. But then we were told that these fish are overfished, menhaden, and there's been a long, over 100-year history of these fish being taken out of the water to use as pet food and fertilizer and fish oil and so forth. It seemed terrible to us that such a valuable resource would be used for something as mundane as pet food. And so we got involved. I should say that we're not a conservation organization. We don't want to be one. We don't want to compete with TRCP or other fine organizations. Our goal was to get a group of people together and find people like TRCP, which we're very fortunate to have gotten to know very well, and help them do what they do so well. So we're not a competitor. I mean, that may be the wrong word, but we're not yet another conservation organization. We are cheerleaders, and we want to introduce TRCP to our members, and we call that our membership is informal. We don't even have a membership list, but we to friends of ours who really want to be involved. And so that's our goal, and that's what we've been able to do pretty successfully so far.
Yeah, so, Bill, I mean, I think it's been a really great partnership. I mean, it's an incredibly important issue, and you guys have, brought money, you brought political power, you brought strategic business-like thinking to a campaign. And we had a huge win this year when the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission went from managing menhaden as a single species to managing it as ecosystem management, namely, what does the ecosystem need? And based on that, how many fish can you take out? And really, that's the way we ought to be managing, especially the bottom of the food chain like this. So with that in mind, so what's next for the Founding Fish Alliance and your campaigns? And also, I would ask you just to move a little closer to your microphone. Some people are having a little bit of a hard time hearing you.
Okay, thank you. How's that?
That's better, I think.
Better, okay. So I think what's next for us is we want to support what you're doing. I mean, TRCP is the leader here, and you've done already. You give us some credit for the environmental reference point movement that you talked about. But the truth is, you guys did the hard work, and I think you're still doing it. You still have so much to do. On the east coast of the United States, there's one company, a foreign company, it turns out, that's taking billions of these fish out of the water, which could be used by the predators so much better. And one company and one state, and so we won't name that state. But basically, and then you get down to the Gulf Coast, where menhaden are there also. One study that you showed us recently said that the overfishing of menhaden could represent as much as a 50% reduction in the number of redfish that are in the water. And it certainly is a substantial reduction. I mean, it's amazing that we allow one foreign company to come in and take these fish and take them away out of our country. And I just think it's because no one knows about it. So our goal right now is to keep working on the East Coast behind you, keep supporting what you do and what you guys are doing, and to also get very involved, as I know you are, in the Gulf of Mexico in the same project.
Bill, I mean, we certainly appreciate the partnership and thank you, but we really probably got to get to more important stuff, namely, how's the bite going out at Montauk? And other than striped bass, what's your favorite fishing?
Well, I'll be there at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I'll let you know. But before we sign off, I'd be remiss not to say that we have literally hundreds of people now involved with us in the area who have contributed time and money and work and intelligence and you name it. So it's not, we have a really great group of people involved. I just wanted to say that.
All right.
Great. The bite has been pretty good at Montauk. If you have an extra day, so you can try and come up with it.
Well, thank you.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, Bill. Thanks to Congressman Graves, Congressman Veazey for joining us. And soon we're going to be announcing the winners of the TRCP sweepstakes, which is that turkey hunt that takes place in Michigan with me and my beloved friends and colleagues, Ryan Old Cal Callahan and Giannis Putelis on a property owned by the very generous Matt Cook, who I think is viewing in tonight. First, we're going to take a quick commercial break, hear from some Diamond sponsors. Also, I think I need to let you know the auction is closed. The auction is closed. So no more of that action. Move on to Diamond sponsors.
We at the Coca-Cola Company believe the health of our water sources is essential to the health of our communities, which is why we're helping to replenish the mighty Rio Grande, as well as over 30 watersheds across the country. We're also leading water projects in more than 100 communities. And for every drop we use, we're working to give one back. because our products rely on the same thing as we all do, clean water. And we care about it like our business depends on it.
Stories that start out, I remember when, are cute when you're talking about buying a Coke for $1 with your niece or nephew. But they're not so cute when you're talking about a certain fish that has not been caught for a very long time. I've been blessed to have spent most of my adult life enjoying the great outdoors. Unfortunately, I have also witnessed the current challenges our waterways face. Yamaha Right Waters will continue Yamaha's industry-leading focus on conservation, sustainability, and advocating for science-based policies that promote healthy fisheries. Right Waters will focus on clean water initiatives, fighting the spread of invasive species, habitat restoration, and supporting scientific research. All of these efforts have one goal in mind: leave our waterways better off than we found them, so future generations can enjoy these treasures for themselves. When it comes to our environment, let's put an end to I remember when.
At Schlumberger, our vision is to drive high performance sustainably. We do this through technology aimed at unlocking access to energy for the benefit of all. Schlumberger's approach to sustainability is rooted in a long-standing culture of social and environmental stewardship. Guided by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we concentrate on the areas where we can have the greatest impact. We then translate our corporate goals into actions most relevant to our local communities. Engaging with communities and customers through this lens enables us to promote meaningful social and environmental sustainability across our operations.
Shell Oil Company works to protect, preserve, and restore the environment where we live, work, and play, alongside leading organizations across the U.S. In the last 2 decades, together with these experts, we have helped restore and protect more than 13 million acres of wetlands, conserve more than 1.8 million acres of land, install nature-based solutions like artificial reefs to support local economies, promote marine wildlife and habitat resilience, mitigate flooding, and slow coastal erosion.
Before we get to the big reveal of the sweepstakes winners, I just wanted to again thank everybody for tuning in tonight and for helping make this a success. The funds we raised tonight, go to doing everything that we do, including funding the staff people we have around the country that make all this work possible. And I thought I'd maybe let you hear from them directly.
My name is Adam Bowman. I'm the digital manager with the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership.
I'm Madeline West, Director of Western Lands for the TRCP.
I'm Christy Plummer, Chief Conservation Officer with the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership.
My name is Chris Macaluso. I'm the Center for Marine Fisheries Director for the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership.
I'm Jen Leahy, Alaska Field Representative with the TRCP.
Andrew Earl, Director of Private Land Conservation with the TRCP, checking in with you from Sperryville, Virginia.
My name is Derek Eberly. I'm the Pennsylvania Field Representative for the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership.
The TRCP is working to ensure that the voices of hunters and anglers are represented in a BLM land management plan spanning more than 13 million acres.
In Pennsylvania, the TRCP is working to engage sportsmen and women on clean water conservation issues across the state. These issues impact our beautiful waterways, like the Susquehanna River you see here.
Private lands provide the majority of huntable habitat in this country, and the Farm Bill provides $6 billion in conservation to incentivize landowners to enroll acreage just like this for the benefit of wildlife, soil and water quality, and to ensure sportsmen like you and I have the opportunity to fish and hunt for years to come.
We have field staff in 8 western states, and it's because of you, our donors, and partners so that they can get out every day and advocate for public land policies that improve access for hunting and fishing and conserve healthy habitat for fish and wildlife.
And I'm out here doing a point-to-point run today with my trail buddy Murphy, training for elk season. And this trail system crosses through a myriad of private, local, state, and federal lands.
The TRCP has been working in the Gulf to make sure that the fines from the oil spill and that as much money as possible goes to restoring these critical coastal habitats to make sure that we've got great places to fish for generations to come.
And whether it's here in the halls of Congress, with the administration, or working in partnership with the 60 organizations on the TRCP Policy Council.
And only by bringing all these stakeholders together, outdoor recreation opportunities like this exist.
We couldn't do that without your support.
Thanks to the support of our donors and funders, we've been able to increase our capacity in Alaska this year.
We couldn't do this critical work without you, to ensure all Americans have access to quality places to hunt and fish.
So thank you.
We could not do it without you.
Thanks again for all you do for Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership.
Know that your generous support is helping us ensure that future generations of Americans will continue to enjoy quality hunting and fishing opportunities on Alaska's public land.
Thank you.
We look forward to continuing our work on the Farm Bill for many more years, and we hope you join us. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Hi, again, I'm Jenny Henry, TRCP's Chief Development Officer. And you just heard from some of my amazingly brilliant colleagues who are working all over the country on issues related to conservation, habitat, and access. You have all been so generous tonight with your time and your dollars. But if you have a little more to spare, you can click the link below the video to make a tax-deductible donation to TRCP. Every dollar you give will go towards our work, towards our mission to guarantee all Americans quality places to hunt and fish. Thank you so much. And now, over to Steve for the announcement of our sweepstakes winners.
All right, thanks a lot, Jenny. And thanks to everyone who joined the sweepstakes. So this is on top of all the money through auctions that everyone participated in, which is phenomenal. It's great. But on top of that, just this sweepstakes alone, you guys threw down and kicked in $143,000 for conservation through the sweepstakes that we're going to be announcing right now. So we're going to announce the winners. Each winner is going to be contacted through email by our independent judging organization, Venture International LCC. Is it LCC? I would have thought LLC. LCC. And then they're going to do some details how to, verify your eligibility. So we're going to start out. Third runner-up. And the third runner-up is winning a TRCP swag bag. It's got a shirt, a hat, sticker, and a laptop bag. Third runner-up is Tim S. from Torrance, California. Second runner-up, winning a North Face duffel bag, Chris B. from Danbury, Connecticut. First runner-up, who wins a TRCP branded Yeti hard cooler on wheels. That goes to Jamie P. from Madison, Wisconsin. Finally, the grand prize winner, winning a spring turkey hunt with me, Giannis Putelis, and Ryan Cal Callahan in Michigan. Drum roll. I don't hear it. Is it happening? Imagine a drum roll. I trust that it's happening. The winner is Mackenzie S. from Anchorage, Alaska. So congrats to all the winners. If you're watching, drop us a note in the chat so we can get a hold of you real quick.
Steve, thank you. And congratulations to our winners. Awesome. And thanks for everybody who joined in tonight. Remember, check your email tomorrow because 10 of you are going to win a bottle of Woodford Reserve that will get to you in some fashion. And next year, April 28th, 2021, we hope to see you all in person at the Mellon Auditorium. So on behalf of TRCP, the staff, the board, Garrett, Mark Veazey, Bill Michalchek, and everybody else, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, and thanks to everyone who worked to put this together tonight. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in for the TRCP's virtual event. Have a wonderful evening and stay well.